Thanks for bearing with me there for a moment while I invited some friends to join us. Hopefully we'll have some people hopping on live. I do have a couple of comments that I'm going to pause for a moment and read over in the group before we get into our discussion. But please know you're welcome to chat in anything that you want to talk about. We are talking anxiety relief and mindset shifts to help you shift the power back over to yourself instead of getting caught up in this place of overwhelm due to circumstances, people, events, whatever's happening around you. And I'm just trying to find this post over here. Okay, so I got the post here that I'm going to read in just a moment. So just to give you a little bit of background about myself, since I'm kind of new to this area, hanging out in this group, taking over for the day with the love for the lovely Miss Sarah. Okay, I'm Chrissy Key Rollins. I do intuitive healing and mindset coaching work with conscious entrepreneurs. My passion lies in helping people just learn how to relax into themselves, to feel comfortable in their own skin, to connect to their own inner guidance, to learn how to use this inner guidance as a powerful tool for moving forward whatever desires are on your heart to bring forth into this world. And I help you to learn how to facilitate your own self-healings, better understand and get to know your internal self so that you can shift your relationship and experience that you have of yourself. And when you shift the experience that you have of yourself, hey, welcome whoever just joined live. Thanks for being here. Chat in, let me know who's here. When we shift the experience that we have of ourselves, we end up shifting the experience that we have of others and the world around us. And when we experience the world around us differently, those around us experience us differently. And then we're playing an entirely new ballgame, one in which you hold the power instead of you being at mercy to whatever is happening around you. So this can manifest in your physical life, in your personal life. It can manifest in your business life. It can manifest in your financial life. It can manifest in the relationship and experience that you have in your physical body. This can show up anywhere in your physical world. Hey, Sarah. So rainy out, the parade was miserable. My oldest has to march in this. Oh, so sorry for marching in the rainy parade. But at least it's not you, right? We've already done those crazy things back in the day when we were in those positions. So awesome. I'm glad that you can be here. I would love to just know any direction that you'd love to take this conversation. I see that Erica's already posted a couple things in the group, so I'm definitely going to address those as well. I was just getting everybody a little taste of what I'm all about. So what I have to offer for everybody today is it's a concept. It's a concept that not that I just read in books and was like, oh, this is cool, I should share this. These are concepts that I have lived in my life day in, day out for the past, what year is this? 2017? So let's say the past 9 years. The past 9 years I've been living this, just really taking them on as an experiment to see what would happen if I live life from this perspective. So this is what I say with all of my work. Don't take my word for it. Try it out for yourself. Create your own experiment, because the truth is a direct experience. And if you don't have the experience firsthand, then it's just a concept that you carry around with you. And that's what a lot of today's online business owners, especially as a heart-centered, empathic, big feeler, don't like sales, conversation, business owners. What was I saying about you? We can struggle to, I don't even remember what I was saying, so you're going to have to remind me. And this is something also as well for y'all to know who are just getting to know me. I go off on tangents, I wander around, but I always come back home. Sometimes what I'm talking about leaves my mind entirely. It typically happens if I start to think about what I'm talking about instead of just letting the flow happen. But every single time, if it's at a point that really needs to come across, it comes back around. So I've learned to be very patient, kind, and loving and supportive of myself as I'm in the process of sharing with other people. And I really appreciate y'all doing the same for me as well and just holding that space. And know that something really awesome is going to happen as we continue this conversation today. So I can't remember what I was saying about conscious business owners as empathetic big feelers. But I do know this. You hold all the answers to what you need inside of yourself. And people like me can come along and kind of guide and point the way, but I can't do for you the parts that actually bring the relief and make the changes in your life. This is something that you have to do for yourself. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit as this conversation continues, but I invite you to take it on as an experiment. I can't prove that this is the truth about life, but I can tell you that I have lived it firsthand in my life, and that it has become a truth in my own life. And I invite you to experiment with it to see if it can become a truth in your life as well. And I can't prove any of it, but I also can't prove that we're here to suffer, that we're here to be the victims, that we're here to be overwhelmed and to experience anxiety and to just be stuck in life. I think the reason that being stuck in life feels so horribly and fundamentally off and wrong is because it's not the truth of what you came here to do. So everything that I'm going to talk about is things that I've integrated into my life, that I've incorporated into my life. It's things that other people can't do for you. And I think that that's what I was talking about. As I work with people, if you're going through the action steps, if you're going through the motions and you're not getting the results that other people say are possible, it's not that you're broken. It's not that there's anything wrong with you. It's that there's just fundamental aspects within yourself that you need to get connected to so that you can have a different experience of yourself no matter what is happening around you, so that you can feel the anxiety and make a conscious choice in how you're going to experience yourself through the anxiety instead of just defaulting and surrendering to the anxiety in a way that it takes you over and you lose all power, all control. And that's really, really scary. I've experienced that firsthand in my life. Any of you that are watching this that have had panic attacks, anxiety attacks, for me, they come out of nowhere. I do not know when they're going to happen. I do not know how long they're going to last. And they just completely take over my life in those moments. And they're really, really unsettling. But as I have learned and integrated these perspectives and techniques that I'm going to talk to you guys about today, it's made it easier. And the last panic attack that I had, it was a completely different experience than anything that I had before. Sarah's saying it is super scary. It is super scary, and it's especially super scary if you don't know what's happening. If you don't know what's happening. So I had a couple of panic attacks. Gosh, they started before I started this conscious awakening journey. Before I consciously started this awakening journey, let's say it that way, because we really started the awakening journey, day one here. But yes, so as I was working through just living life, I was struck by a couple of panic attacks that came out of nowhere. I mean, like driving down the road, just completely out of the blue. And it wasn't like I was consciously thinking about something and worrying about something. It's just bam, it just came bubbling up from the surface. So that's been my experience with them. The last one that I had, I was able to maintain my perspective of a higher truth that I believe to be happening in the moment. And I focused on my experience of myself, really focused on my breath. I shut everything out and just let everything be other than my breath. And I focused on my breath. And I told myself that I would be okay. And it took a few minutes. Who knows how long it takes? It feels like forever, doesn't it? It feels like a few hours that an attack happens. But moments passed. I breathed myself back to the present moment, and I was able to move forward. And I have not had that severe of an attack ever since. I've never explored medication or that sort of thing to control and manage them. But I definitely have had that firsthand experience of what it's like. So talking about these things and helping others to not come to me for the answer, but to really empower you so you can have a better understanding of what's happening within you and around you so that you can receive all that life is bringing to you in a way that doesn't necessarily feel so overwhelming or so heavy and so dense, because it definitely can be. So I have a couple things on my agenda. I also want to look over here and see what Erica had posted in the group. And if anybody else joining on live, you're not going to know that I just said this if you're joining on live because you're not here yet. But just know that I'm open to answering any questions around this. So if you are watching in the replay, feel free to still comment on this video or still comment in the group, and I'll be happy to support you throughout this day and while I'm taking over the group. So thank you again, Sarah, for having me here. Sarah says that I have given her the ability to turn to herself for things more than ask everyone else. Yes, 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 yes. It's where the answers lie. we can tap in to the answers for ourselves. Other people do not always hold those answers or have the insight to those answers. And, you know, we came here to, into this human form, onto this earthly realm. We came here to interact with others. We didn't come here to do it on our own, or else we'd be on isolated little desert islands all by ourselves. We came here. We need this community. We need to connect. We need to bring our attributes, our gifts, our callings to the world. And if you notice that if we all started following our gifts and our callings, they're all different. So needs get filled that can't happen if you're just on your own. But ultimately, we have our own internal navigational system. It's not that some people are intuitive, it's that everybody's intuitive. And your intuition is speaking to you at all times. But if you're not aware that that's what's happening, and you don't know what's going on with those voices inside yourself, and you haven't made a peaceful, loving environment to experience yourself in, it's going to be a totally different experience than when you start to listen to yourself, anchor into your own inner truth, and learn how to use that as a navigational tool. Now, we're not getting into all of that today. That's an ongoing conversation that I have in my communities. We're not getting into all of that today, but I am going to offer you some really powerful points. And I'm just pulling out my notes here to make sure that we hit on these things. And I also wanted to just answer whatever specific questions are coming up for y'all around anxiety. And again, being somebody who has dealt with it firsthand in my own life, I just have a great compassion for it. And being somebody who is all about mindset and understanding how the mind works and shifting the relationship that we have with our mind so that we can have a more fulfilling life experience, it all just really goes hand in hand. Ha, perfect. Some of my anxiety stuff. Okay, so let me read over here real quick and see what Erica had to say. And let's start the conversation by answering Erica's question. So Erica says that she has suffered from anxiety for many years. And yesterday, there was numerous times where she literally wanted to die. And I got to say, Erica, I can empathize with that feeling as well. I've had extremely intense times where I was just done. Completely done. Obviously not completely done because I'm still here with you today, but I know that feeling firsthand, and I really, my heart goes out to you because I know that feeling. Okay, let's see if I can explain it in a way that you can follow. The morning started with me responding to a post in another group, which happens to be a group that's all about sexually empowered women. Whoop, whoop, love sexually empowered women. Here is my response. So this is the response that she gave. Once upon a time, my sex life was very active, but there were many other activities going on that had my guard down, and meaningless sex was fun and easy. That was 3.5 years ago. I have now been with the same man for 3.5 years, and I really have sex. And although I miss my highly sexual life, when I pause and think about it all, I remember it's not my sex drive or libido that has changed. It's the love and respect I have for myself. Brilliant, Erica. Love that realization that you have within yourself. And I concur without knowing, all the juicy details. Let's see. Many months, sexually in other ways, sometimes illness and other alterings. Later in the day, said boyfriend daughter-in-law introduced me as Erica. Around the beginning to realize how important leave was. Needless to say, I didn't sleep well. Okay, so here's the gist. Here's the gist of Erica's situation. She put her heart out there to the world in a very honest way, and it was not received. It was not received in a way that really honors the intentions that Erica had in her sharing. That's what I'm feeling. And Erica, I so wish that you were on the line so that you can really confer that I'm on the, I don't even know if that's a word or the right word, that you could confirm that I'm on the right track. Okay, so basically she got insulted for being insecure, and there was, it all got triggered around this idea of putting a label to a relationship. Okay, got where you're coming from here, Erica. Just should have read this beforehand, but whatever. We're just rolling with things here. So put yourself out into society in an honest way and you get ridiculed, not seen accurately for who you are. You're not supported in the way that you thought that you're going to be supported. And that can just wreak havoc on the inside of ourselves. And what happens is that in these situations, we are given the opportunity to decide one of two things. Well, I guess decide one thing, but it's got two different options on the other side of it. In these situations, you are being given the opportunity to either step into the experience that somebody else is having of you, or maintain the experience that you know of yourself to be true. So often, us big feeling, empathic people, and I think that we're probably the ones that deal with the anxiety the most, and there's good reasons for this, and maybe I'll hit on that. I'm going to just make a little note. So it's big feeling, empathic people. We feel anxiety the most. I'm going to just dare to say I haven't done personal research, but it stands to reason. If you're a big feeler and you feel all of your emotions and you feel all of everybody else's emotions, that you probably feel overwhelmed by those emotions more than those that don't have a conscious recognition of their ability to really feel other people's emotions. Now, just like we're all intuitive, we are all empathic as well. We have the ability to feel where somebody else is coming from, but our society hasn't supported us in staying in touch with that knowing. So we mistake the feelings that we're empathing from other people as being our own, and those cause us to react in ways that we would kind of react the opposite way if we understood that the feeling that we're feeling is just their pain, their misery, their suffering, their sorrow, their grief, their insecurity, and it feels as if they're putting that on us. It feels very personal. It feels very, very, very personal. But this is the thing. Other people's process isn't our responsibility, and it's not personal. It has nothing to do with us. So when you step forward on this big old heart of love that I know that you live your life on, Erica, and you walk around on and you speak from and you self-identify from, right? You're walking around on this big, huge heart and you're putting out love into the world. And life says, yeah, that's not measuring up. For some way, some reason, somehow, you have a label that's over your head. You're not living into that label. And this is the way that I'm seeing and experiencing you right now, right? We have the opportunity in that moment to decide, am I going to step into this other person's experience of me, which is coming from their perspective, which is not the truth about me, it's just how they're perceiving me, which means I show up standing on this big, huge heart of love that I'm offering to the world at all times. But they are programmed, or they are looking through a filter that filters out the love, only sees these little harmful things, and then they're focusing on that, and they're mistaking me as that, when in truth, your love presented on a big old heart. And that is not what's happening. So if you look through their filter or their perspective, or you take on their experience of you, you have very limited options in who you are and how you're living up and whatever else that gets stirred up inside of you that keeps you up at night and lets you not sleep well, right? You have the opportunity. You don't have to step into their perspective. You don't even have to be a victim of this situation that you just shared with us. I understand the victim comes forward. I understand that that's a very comfortable place for a lot of us to be. And it's interesting because a lot of us don't self-identify as victims or that we victimize ourselves. But this is the option that we have. We can either step into the role of victim. This person is not receiving me. They're saying things that aren't a truth about me, and I'm a victim now of this situation. Or we can see things from a bigger, more expanded perspective, that even if you said and did everything perfect, they would still filter out because they're not looking through a filter that allows them to see the truth about who you are. They're looking through a filter that the mind has created to help them to survive to get to this point, that's taking in data, making projections, and isn't even seeing or hearing you. They're not even seeing or hearing you. They are interpreting energy, light waves, vibrations of sound, and they are putting meanings and definitions and creating an experience from it, from their filter. It is not the truth with a capital T of what is happening in the situation. It's just the truth that they're experiencing in their reality, not in the actuality. In actuality, Erica, you are love expressed in human form, and so are they. In actuality, all of life is conspiring for your success, for your support, to meet every need that you have. we'll just say, what if that's the truth? And what if you're having any experience other than that, then your filter or the other person's filter is just askew. Now, when I started to realize that the most intimate person in my life, the one who triggers all of my stuff, is my husband. Y'all are awesome. Now, I can deal with y'all all day long. You'll love me. I can mess up. You'll still catch me. We don't have the history that my husband and I do, being together for 15 and a half years. We don't have oh my gosh, we are coming up on 16 years, aren't we? We don't have that history together. I haven't let you down over and over again. You haven't seen all the sides of me whenever I'm not being patient and loving and all of myself, right? I am not all together all the time. But I have learned to strengthen this skill set. I've learned to strengthen these habits. I've learned to relate to myself differently. I've learned to love myself, forgive myself, not hold myself to some ridiculous set of standards. And now I'm learning how to undo that with other people as well. And I'm starting to see how I don't know what my husband's saying or doing at any given moment. All that I know is what I perceive of him. And how I perceive him is not his responsibility. How I perceive him is my responsibility. How other people perceive me, not my responsibility. How other people perceive me, their responsibility. So as I start to depersonalize the processing that another human goes through, I don't have to step into that victim role. Now I am just somebody who is present, an angel, I dare say, in this human form that has shown up to be expressed exactly how I express myself. And in my expression of myself, I'm healing other people by triggering and bringing to surface their misperceptions of what's happening. Nothing happens in any of these moments that a higher level of communication would not solve, even in your situation. But because most of us aren't supported and encouraged and set the example of these higher levels of communication, it's just a more mature way of communicating. It's not mature way of communicating. I'm not calling anybody immature. I'm just saying there's a more evolved level of communication that can happen whenever you take out taking everything personal and step into the truth with a capital T, as I like to call it, the truth, the actuality of what's happening in any given moment. The actuality of what's happening in any given moment is God's love in human form interacting with God's love in human form. Again, if we're not having that experience, there's a misperception that happens in this human form as well. We didn't come here to be fully expressed angels on earth. If that's what we were interested in doing, we wouldn't have chosen to come back to this human experience. We signed up for the human experience, which gives limitations, which puts us into this world and into this society that gets us all wrapped up into the experience that we've had so far as being humans. But what if there's a bigger story that's happening here? And what if you have the power to tap into that story so that you can have a different experience of yourself as you're going through these moments? As I started to separate what's personal from my husband's processing and just allowed him to process and not lose sight of who it is that I'm dealing with, which no matter how he presents himself is love in human form. Someone who just wants to be loved, who wants to be accepted, who doesn't want to be hassled, and just wants to be himself however he feels in any given moment without me making him wrong or telling him he needs to be different. Does this sound familiar? Because I know it sounds familiar to me because that's all that I want from other people. So if I want that from other people, the game begins by giving it to other people first. Giving it to other people first. And when we can err on the side of love, when we can say, you know what's really interesting is that I started to feel a little uneasy whenever you replied the way that you replied, because it made me feel as if, I'm being accused of being insecure. And I can understand if that's your experience of me. I'd love to talk about that a little bit more so that you can better understand where I'm really coming from. That's a mature level of conversation that majority of our society doesn't support us having. I hope that that's clear and making sense. Sarah's saying so true. Supported is key and awesome for sure. So when you make it your goal, and this is what my tips are for anxiety relief. So thank you so much, Erica, for opening up that door. I really hope that I'm hitting the nail on the head. I know that I removed a lot of the specifics of the conversation, but that's kind of what's needed sometimes to kind of get to the bottom line actuality of what's happening in a given moment. You are in a situation in which you're getting the opportunity to not abandon who you know yourself to be. Even when somebody else shows up and says, nope, that's who you are. Okay. Thanks. Thanks for your honesty. Thank you for being truthful with me and how you experience me. I really appreciate that because it shows me how much you care about me, that you would risk saying something like this that could potentially hurt my feelings or, stir some stuff up inside of me. But you risk that in order to be honest with me. And that shows me how much you really care about me and how much you trust me. And I honor that and I thank you for it. Who talks like this? Learning how to. And as I start to have this level of communication and conversation, instead of reacting to what's getting triggered inside of me, I no longer need to react to what's being triggered inside of me. I pay attention to it because it's just what's next to be loved by myself. But it's not my husband's responsibility to move in a certain way and speak in a certain way. It certainly isn't all these other rascals and characters running around in society. Life will not line up to unfold exactly the way that you need to so that all of your stuff doesn't get triggered. Life is triggering your stuff to give you an opportunity to realize that stuff that's getting triggered isn't even your stuff. It's stuff that you've been passed from other people. It's perceptions that you've put on, and it's time to free yourself of those layers of bushel baskets and let your light shine. That's what life's saying. We have a choice in how we experience ourselves, and we don't have to step into anybody else's experience of ourselves. And learning how to not abandon who I know myself to be, even when somebody is so sure, so certain, and can show up so confidently and look me in the eye and tell me some horrible things about myself or what they experience about myself. To not abandon that, to just simply say, thank you for your honesty. I personally have a different experience of me, but I appreciate you telling me that this is your experience of me. Now, if that person's really interested in knowing you, they'll start to ask questions to better understand you. There's no reason to state your case or to defend yourself until someone says, can you help me to better understand? Because, Chrissy, I experience you to be this amazing, remarkable woman who's very heart-centered and compassionate. But when I watched you just do and say what I just watched you do and say, it seemed as if you didn't care about me at all. Can you help me to understand that? You bring me that level of question, you're going to get to know the truth. You're going to get to know a deeper level of truth of what's happening. We have to raise our ability to communicate in a more empowered way. We have to learn how to shift our experience of ourselves so that we don't fall by default into other people's experiences of ourselves. When I stop and think about it, I have had an amazing experience of myself all throughout my life. But that wasn't the conscious experience that I was having of myself because other people weren't responding the way that I thought that they would if I was really as whatever, the way that I experienced myself, if that was a truth. How come other people weren't experiencing that all the time? And I got caught up in other people's experiences. Well, now I'm unraveling myself from other people's experiences, learning how to settle my soul self into my physical self. And as I do this, I cultivate a deeper, stronger relationship of the two me's, my inner self and my outer self. And this one becomes an advocate to take a powerful stance for the beautiful one that is inside of me. I so hope that this stuff's making sense to all of you and that you're finding it beneficial and helpful. So this is the perspective that I bring into my life and that I invite you to test out into your own world. And the next time that you're feeling yourself triggered, have a higher level of communication or take a step back and process it and to understand if this is their experience of me, it doesn't mean that that's who I am. So why am I getting caught up in defending something that's not even a truth? The truth always speaks for itself, and it does it through our actions and what we demonstrate, and what we're most committed to also speaks for itself because that's what we're doing on a regular basis. So if you want to really overcome anxiety, if you want to take the control back, especially if you're looking to, I'm not going to speak to be on medications, to not be on medications, not my field of expertise. I'm a fan of people getting support when they need it. And I'm also a fan of people empowering themselves to understand themselves on a deeper level to see if maybe there's something else that they're missing in their life, be it nutrient-wise or emotional-wise or energetic-wise, to see if maybe they can bring forth more of their whole complete self without these extra added supports. But I'm a fan of support, especially if you need to just get to a place where you can begin to move past managing symptoms and into curing the root cause of the situation. And Sarah says, that's my thought on it too. So some people come to me, they're like, Chrissy, you're Little Miss Natural Holistic. I don't even want to tell you that I'm going to be getting a prescription to help me manage this or not. And I'm like, you got to do what you got to do. You have to do what you have to do. And just understand You are likely not having this issue for lack of whatever prescription drug you're going to be taking. It is probably something else that's happening. But if you need that just to take the edge off so you can take a step back and start to look at things from a different perspective, do what you got to do. Do what you got to do. Only you're going to know what's right for you. I could never say that. Nobody else could, right? Okay. So this whole idea of taking radical responsibility of your situation, to step out of taking other things, other people's processes personal, and this whole idea of just understanding that this is your responsibility. You have to be committed to this. That is the number one thing. If you want to be able to shift the power when it comes to anxiety, you have to be committed like never before. You can't be interested in not having anxiety run your life anymore. You have to be committed. You have to be diligent. Now, does that mean you have to be regimented and like a military sergeant and do everything right? And if you move in the right way, you're going to get the right reward. I'm not saying that. I'm saying part of the healing process is learning to have an amazing relationship and experience of yourself. So be loving, patient, and kind, and really celebrate the one who wants to be more whole and complete in this world, who wants to be able to show up in a bigger, brighter, better way, who wants to not be limited by these limiting factors. Really celebrate that, because that's noble. That's exceptional. There's plenty of people out there like, oh, I don't care, just hand me the pill. I'm just going to keep right on trucking. But you want to make a difference, and that's phenomenal. So start anchoring into that. Really start trusting who you are, and just commit, not to get it right all the time, but to come back to it over and over and over and over again. Commitment's like trust. And commitment isn't like, I'm committed, bam, done. No, commitment is a series of recommitments. Trust is the same way. Trust you. No, you trust, and then you trust, and then you trust, and you trust, and you trust, and you trust. You do it again and again and again and again and again. That's how it works. Kind of like surrender. Surrender works the same way. You can't just say, I surrender. No, I surrender this thought. I surrender this moment. I surrender this idea. It happens over and over and over. It's kind of like breathing, kind of like blinking your eyes. This is what we got to get. This is all a repeatable cycle. All of this is just going to happen over and over and over again. And we got to get out of that conditioning that there's right moves to get right rewards, and understand, no, baby, it's a cycle. It's a cycle of depression. It's a cycle of abuse. It's a cycle of anxiety. It's a cycle of hunger. It's a cycle of sleep. It's kind of a clue. Everything's temporary, and we're just allowing it all to unfold. It's all just unfolding. So stop freaking out. You're not doing anything wrong. You're not late. You're not behind. You shouldn't have known this 20 years ago. If you should have known this 20 years ago, you would have freaking known it 20 years ago. You didn't need it till now. You needed to go through what you went through 20 years ago, so that you are ripe right now in this moment to take this step that I'm inviting you to take today. You couldn't get it if you hadn't gone through all that, and you sure as hell wouldn't be able to help other people through it, which is why, part of the reason why you went through what you went through, so that you can learn how to support other people going through the struggles. We're amazing. We are earth angels, angels in human form. And part of angel duty is going through some shitty shit, so that you can become super duper awesome, and you can help other people rise out of that shitty shit too. Only an angel would do that. Only an angel would do that. We're remarkable. Rest in that, know that, and get committed. Commit to recommitting. You have to be 100% committed to your own happiness and to your own peace of mind, because there isn't another freaking person on this planet that's going to walk over and be like, Chrissy, I want to make sure that you have peace of mind. Let me make sure that you are happy. Are you fulfilled today? Let me help you get fulfilled today. Ain't nobody going to do that, baby, because that ain't anybody's responsibility except for your own. It is your responsibility. You are in charge of you. If you hadn't noticed, I mean, you are the only one that's everywhere that you go. We got to realize all of life is unfolding for you. All of your life is unfolding for you. It's all happening for you. You're the key component in all of this. You might as well love the one you're with, because that's who you got. You're with you everywhere that you go. All these other characters, all these other rascals, all these other circumstances, some of them we love, some of them we don't, some of them we want to keep forever, none of them we get to. It's all temporary. It's all a cycle. Be committed to your own happiness. Be committed to your own peace of mind. Understand that's nobody else's responsibility. It is your responsibility. And let's look at that word responsibility. Your ability to respond. How is that anybody else's job except for yours? Just saying. Just saying. So we have to understand that if we're not committed to our own peace of mind and happiness, we are not going to make sure that we choose that different thought in that moment. And nobody else is going to be like, oh, Kirsty, you look all flustered. You must be thinking a thought over here. Let me grab your thought from over here. How's that thought? Is that better? Right? It happens sometimes, but I can't always show up at your house to remind you of this stuff. You got to do it for yourself. Sarah says, my illness is a chemical imbalance, but some things are not for others. Okay, so again, not my area of expertise as far as traditional scientific ways of looking at all of this, but I'm here to say, what if part of the chemical imbalance that happens is more of an emotional related thing? Okay, we have different emotions in the body. They produce different chemical reactions whenever we feel those emotions. And what if some of the imbalance is coming from that? Growing addicted to certain types of chemical releases that happen in the body with others, maybe it's a nutrient thing, regardless of whatever the imbalance is, knowing that is something that's happening, you can begin to relate to yourself differently. You can give yourself support in that area. I don't have all those answers, but leaning into it and taking back some of that control, I think we all have the ability to make a different choice. We just have to build the habit just like we do our habits of reacting and responding to things. Again, I don't have a psychology degree. I haven't spent all this time studying all that stuff, but I do know, what are they studying? The physical observations of what happens. We observe what's happening, and what are we looking through? A filter. So it's hard to say what is the actual truth, which is why I say, look at it like an experiment and experiment with it yourself. I'm not saying get off all of your drugs and just do this instead. I'm saying keep lifing along, keep doing what you're doing. And while you keep doing what you're doing, start to experiment with these different ways of thinking and see how it makes you feel, and see what choices open up when you step into the amazing person that you know yourself to be, instead of whatever limited perspective somebody else is having because of their projected thoughts of their past experiences. Okay, so another anxiety tip that I like to pass along today, just to offer a different perspective, is that this idea of connecting to the divinity that you are and that you are surrounded by, and to really lean into this idea that all of life is unfolding for you and all of life is happening to support you. If you notice, every time you take a step, life meets you. Every time you inhale, life meets you. It is happening in every moment. So again, can't prove this is happening, but let's just say, what if? What if all of life is conspiring for your success? What if everything is unfolding according to divine plan, according to divine order, on the divine timeline? And what if the only reason we don't experience it as pure, unadulterated bliss and divinity expressed around us is because we're holding on to an idea that it should have happened differently, on a different timeline, and in a different way? I don't know, guys. You just got to experiment with it. And I know, since I can't prove that we're surrounded by divinity, made up of divinity, everything about us is divine. I can't prove that, but I also can't prove that it's not. And that's where it gets very interesting for me. Since I can't prove either side of the story, all that I have to go on is my direct experience. So I keep leaning into this because my experience keeps getting better and better and better the more that I play around with these philosophies and ideas and perspectives. And I've said it before, I'll say it many, many, many more times. I would rather get to the end of this whole experience and realize, oh, I was supposed to be super serious, super frustrated, completely overwhelmed, and making all these certain moves to make everybody else happy. Sorry, I had a party the whole time. Then to get to the end and be like, you mean I could have had a party this whole time? This whole time, I could have had a party. But I was miserable instead. So I'd rather err on the side of love, end up having a good time, and then find out I was supposed to be more serious than to do it vice versa. Sarah says that she agrees. She has tried to be off the meds, but on way less than ever, which for me is awesome. That's super awesome. Super awesome, super empowering, super duper. I think it's great. I think it's really great. Okay, So when we can connect to the divinity that's around us, we can connect to the divine being that we are, we can connect to the fact that we're carrying around a soul in this flesh body that we have, and that soul chose us to live this through, and that soul is very excited to be here. Connect to that within yourself. And then start to say, how is life conspiring for my success? How is all of life supporting me? How is my most intimate partner saying these horrible things to me here to help my journey? Oh, because it gives me an opportunity to extend compassion to another human being, to not take personal the process of somebody else, and to choose my experience of me instead of abandoning my experience of me for somebody else's experience of me. Kind of helpful tool, especially if you plan on doing big things in front of big people and having a big message that stirs people up. I better get really well equipped at naysaying and people misperceiving me, because I'm here to bring forth something that they haven't seen before. Not say other people aren't doing similar stuff. Not saying that. There's amazing people out there with very similar messages as the one that I'm here to bring forth, but only Chrissy has had Chrissy's experiences to be able to integrate these concepts and the ideas the way that Chrissy has, and to bring forth this explanation the way that Chrissy does. So ask yourself, how is this happening in my favor? And, I kind of interwove my third point with that second point. You are more than who you think yourself to be. We know ourselves as this external self. I look in the mirror, there's Chrissy, go throughout my day, here's Chrissy's body, right? But there's more than just Chrissy's body going along for the journey. There's Chrissy's internal self. There's this whole thought process, this whole emotional, creative place that lives inside of me with desires and thoughts and lots to say. If you think this one has a lot to say, you should listen to the internal one. She talks all the time, right? That soul self picked you, picked this life, picked this timeline, cast the characters, picked all the hardships, picked it all. And again, I say to you, what if? Because we can't prove this. You can't prove me that what I'm saying is not true. I can't prove to you that what I'm saying is true. I'm just saying that when I live as if this is the truth in my life, I have a totally different experience than when I live if the other is the truth in my life. So what if? What if this amazing angelic being chose your human form to live out her and or his inner desires through? And what if she chose you because you're perfectly equipped? And what if there was no way that she could fulfill her mission in any other way than if she chose you? When I think about this for myself, I've got water coming up to my eyes right now, because I'm very moved by this idea that I ever doubted this woman that you see before you. Because the highest, ultimate soul self of this woman chose me to live through in this life. I am honored. Honored. I'm moved. I'm moved. Just this moment that I'm taking right now in front of you to recognize myself. It's powerful. Take time to recognize yourself. Recognize that you are the chosen one. You are fully equipped. And as challenging as this physical self has, as much tumultuous internal turmoil happens, no matter how much Erica or any of us are wanting to check out of this human life and to end this human experience, there's a part of us that's wildly excited to be here, that planned this all out, that said, you are going to go through some really horrible stuff, but you can do it. And on the other side, there's something that's so sweet, it's going to be calling you home the whole time. And because you've been through these challenges, because people have so overlooked you, ignored you, neglected you, mistreated you, I'm feeling y'all. So I know that this is hitting home, because this isn't me that's crying. I'm feeling all of you that are watching. You have gone through all of this. And on the other side, the peace that you're going to find within yourself, the abundance, the support, the ease, the love, the acceptance, it's going to be so much sweeter, because you've gone through everything that you've gone through. And as much as I would love to ease some of the angst that you're going to feel in these moments of overwhelm, when anxiety totally takes you over, when you're blinded by it, when you can't see your own divinity, when you can't see your own amazing awesomeness, when you're so caught up in somebody else's story that you even forget who you are. I wish that I could alleviate that for you, but just know that it's all necessary, because where you're going is such relief. And that is a truth, because if it wasn't right now, it wouldn't feel so bad to you. It wouldn't. And where I have planned to take you, oh, believe me, once you get on the other side, you'll start to see you wouldn't trade a single ounce of it. Not a bit of it. Not any of it. Because it would not be as sweet on the other side. But when you're in it, you can't feel that. But when you're in it, you can reach for that. You can reach for that place inside of yourself. You can reach for that knowingness. You can just take on that perspective of what if. You can feel the one who's suffering inside. You can be compassionate, loving, listen to everything that she has to say to you. But it's just not the whole story. So learn how to love yourself, how to support yourself through this journey, and it will make such a difference, because people mistreat you. You don't need to be one of them. Thanks, y'all, for being so beautiful and holding the space for all of that to come through. I feel truth in a number of ways, and one of the ways is through tears that surface. And there's a much different experience whenever it's Chrissy, the one that's crying. You will see me not be able to speak or breathe. My face will get all red and splashy. But that was very beautiful, and I know that there's some very powerful healing that is taking place right now as I say these words, and will take place as people continue to plug in and listen to the message that I had to share. So that is the message that was on my heart to share. And I would love to, as y'all watch this in replay, I would love to keep this conversation going. I plan on checking in throughout the day. I do have some other things on my agenda for today, but I'm going to pop in a couple of times. I probably won't go live again, but I would love to support in any way that I can, answer any questions, expand out any of these thoughts. But I'd love to know, I would love, love, love to know, what are your thoughts about everything that I just shared? Is it resonating with you? Does it hit home? Does it make sense? Is there a good tangible integration step that you can take on the other side of this? I would love to hear what you're taking away from it all. And unless Sarah's got anything else on her beautiful heart to share or add into this conversation, I think we'll bring this live to a close. I really honor you for showing up. I honor you for following your desire to bring more peace and fulfillment into your life and to find yourself in a more settled and empowered place. It's a remarkable quality that I just really honor about you. Sarah says, thank you, love this. Yay! I loved it too. I never know what's going to happen when I open my mouth, so I've just learned to really trust myself and to show up and have a few, points that I want to hit. So thank you, Sarah, for having me in this space, and thanks all of you for just holding the space for me to share the message today and for watching it. And if anybody wants to connect further, come check out what I got going on. We can definitely connect one-on-one as well. And yeah, keep listening to Sarah and following her. She knows her stuff, and she is so on track with where she's going and integrating all of this. And I'm just honored to be a guide and to assist. All right, y'all. I'll see you later. Let's keep this conversation going in the group, though.